everybody. Welcome to Vikings Report Rewind. We've got our live NFL schedule release show. I can't see him on screen. There we go. I got Drew Bunning and Christopher Gates, and behind the scenes making all this happen, even though we are dealing with multiple technical issues on my end, is Ruby, the cat with opposable thumbs, Toonses. Gentlemen, how are you, and happy schedule release day for those of you that celebrate.
Hey, hey everybody. We're here, and yeah, I don't know about where you folks are, but it is raining like hell up here. So that's why I look like I'm sitting in front of the campfire rather than sitting in front of my laptop talking about football.
Submarine. Hey, how you guys doing? I haven't seen you guys since the live draft party, brothers.
It's been a while, yeah.
Meow. It has. It's been way too long.
How you doing, Drew Bunny?
I'm doing good. I want to know, last time I talked to Chris Gates, he knew more about Taekwondo than Tyquan Thornton, the wide receiver. I want to know if he's learned anything more about Tyquan, the wide receiver from Baylor.
I absolutely have not. So that has not
Big
changed.
night. Big show, big night. Good to be back. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Ted, we're 122 days away from kickoff.
122.
Yes, 122 as of today.
Wow. Is that how many months you did in county back in the 80s?
That, dude, 122 became overnight stay for me. That's a piece of cake, man.
We got a big show ahead. The NFL just released their schedule. Gentlemen, what we're going to do is we're going to go down week by week, the schedule as we know it. I haven't really been on the internet because I've been dealing with technical stuff, but I think I have what is the final schedule. I'll go through game by game. If I'm wrong on anything, Chris, Drew, correct me. But it's the Minnesota Vikings 2022 schedule is as follows. Week 1 at home against the team you love to hate, the Green Bay Packers. Drewster.
Yep.
What do you think of that game?
I'd like to start off by saying last year we did this schedule release. We actually picked the games as we went along. You finished the season 8-9, or you predicted 8-9. I predicted 8-9, and Toots has got 9-8. So we were all pretty much right on with what we predicted from last year. But I want to do that because it kind of makes us look good for a second. We don't often look very good on this show. So Chris wasn't with us last year when we did the schedule release. So what was your question about the Packers now?
That's our week 1 game is against the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yep.
And I'm in the process of trying to switch over from my phone back to my computer.
So,
Drew, why don't you talk about week 1, what you think of the divisional matchup, and we will go from there.
I can't think of a better way to start than with that stinky ass team from Wisconsin. Bring it on. Let's get started. The crowd is going to be, the last time we started off opening up against the Packers a couple of years ago, there was nobody in the crowd because of COVID. We're going to have a fired up crowd. This is brand new O'Connell's first game. The division, the guys that have owned the division the last 4 years. I don't think we won the division since 17. So
you're correct. Yeah. 2019 was a wild card year.
So we're trying to get a division back that we haven't even sniffed for 4 years. O'Connell's first game, crowd's going to be fired up. This is the one game I was thinking if the schedule comes out, I want the Packers to be first game on the schedule so we can get right into it, get right into the meat and potatoes of it all. But huge game for opening day.
All right, I'm
Absolutely.
back up. I'm switching off my phone here.
There we go. So I'm thinking this game is
all right. Back in the New York groove. So you're good with the week 1 divisional matchup against Green Bay.
I want to get right into it, and I think it's going to be really, really emotional, but it's going to be a high intense situation. The players are going to be really focused for O'Connell to get things going off on the right foot, and I have 100% confidence this is going to be a W. It's a great way to start.
Chris, what do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, like Drew said, and if I'm not appearing on camera, it's because I'm still doing DN stuff at the same time here. But yeah, the last time we faced the Packers at home to start off the season was the first time it had ever happened, and there was nobody in the stands for it. And as much as you don't want to blame that kind of thing, I think having fans in the stands for week 1 this year with the Packers coming down, I think it's going to be a whole lot different. Yeah, it's going to give Kevin O'Connell an opportunity to kind of go into the deep end head first. So we'll see how that goes.
So you're not concerned, either of you guys. So the Vikings, like we said, finished 8-9 last year. The Packers won the division going away.
Hello? What
Did Ted
happened?
disappear?
I think he did.
Oh my God, we've lost Ted.
I'm putting myself down for a win on this one.
I will absolutely agree with you on that one, Drew. I think
1-0?
I think 1-0. I think that things are going to be quite a bit different than they were in 2020 and 2021. The Packers generally get off to a slow start, and I think we're going to see that again this year when they come to Minnesota for week 1. So that's 1-0. Hell with it.
Okay.
1-0.
I have 1-0 also. We'll get Ted's prediction here in a sec.
Okay, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling us how Zadarius Smith's going to saw off Rodgers' knees. That's what you were saying before you cut out.
I believe I was, and then my internet froze up. I was just terrible. I'm going to go with a loss. I said the Vikings. I don't know if you heard it. It was 8-9.
Did you say a loss?
I did. Yeah.
All right. We want you to freeze again.
But Drew and Chris have a win.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Ted's going with the 0-1, which is understandable. No, it's understandable. We're Viking fans. Every time we get all up for something, next thing you know.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, I'm just worried. New offense, new defense. I mean, at home is going to help. Don't get me wrong, but you're facing the defending division champion and Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. It's going to be a great game. I want them to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm just, 8-9 is 8-9, and they got to prove it.
Part of the reason I'm siding with the Vikings on this, Ted,
Why is that?
is because I don't think Rodgers is going to be on the same page week 1 with those receivers. I don't. I think it takes a while for the receivers to get in sync. Now, by the end of the year, I'm sure they'll have some kind of passing. He'll know where he wants to go with the ball, and the routes and the players will all have their set and their roles. But week 1, they're going to be searching for it, man, because they're not going to be playing preseason much. So
that's a very fair point.
That's kind of why I lean to the Vikings on this. I don't, because unless they all come in and start clicking, I don't see it.
I mean, we don't even know who's playing receiver for the Packers at this point. It's Christian Watson and Alan Lazard and a bunch of dudes, I guess. So,
Yeah, who's to say they're going to be ready to go week 1?
That's fair. Yeah, that's a very fair point. I mean, it's going to be week 1. Lots of and look, the Packers were absolutely terrible in week 1 last year at home against, I think it was the Saints. Didn't Jameis Winston throw for like 11 touchdowns?
Oh, they got their ass kicked.
Yeah, like 40. It was bad. It was a beatdown.
34-3 or something.
Yeah, it was a beatdown. So, anything's possible. I just want to see what the new coach and all the scheme brings before I just jump fully on board. All right. So week 2 at Philadelphia. The last time the Minnesota Vikings were there, they had that 23-20 win. It was when Linval Joseph house to fumble, and then they had the famous, sucking on the oxygen mask on the sideline.
Oxygen mask.
Yeah. Philly sucks. I'm sorry, they're going to beat Philly on the road.
They certainly are.
Philly
What did
sucks.
you pick for that? Oh, you're picking a win
Minnesota.
there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Drew, what do you got?
I got it.
Oh, Chris, go ahead.
Sorry. We'll get our stuff together here at some point. Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're going to get the whole Kirk Cousins prime time, blah blah blah. Like you said, the Eagles aren't very good. The whole NFC East is not very good. I'm not buying the Cowboys either, but we'll get to them later on. But yeah, I think the Vikings go into Philly in prime time, and in what I'm sure is going to be a shock to some people, I think they come out with a win.
Okay, I'm going to be the voice of downerism here. Monday Night Football in Philly.
Oh, that's a Monday Night Football game?
Yeah, and I don't like it. I don't like how that sounds. I know from start to finish, roster from top to bottom, the Vikings are probably better. but I could see a sack fumble. Oh my God, what are we doing? A punt return for the Eagles, a blocked field goal for the Eagles. Oh, Monday night, here it comes. I don't feel good about that game, and I'm putting it down as the Eagles win, and the Vikings will be 1-1 at that point. So I am the voice of downer on that week.
I forgot it was a primetime game. But see, now if I go 0-2 to start the season, the Vikings aren't making the playoffs. Because if you go 0-2, you aren't making the playoffs. You just aren't.
So what are you picking, Glover?
Or I already said win. I'm gonna stand by. I'm gonna stand by my prediction. They're gonna be 1-1, and that's gonna be an okay start to the season.
So after 2 weeks, we got one person on this panel that has the Vikings at 2-0.
Chris, I don't see a loss on the schedule. Gates.
That's right. 20-0. 20-0. Absolutely.
I think the Eagles got a lot better. I think they're going to win that division. And I just a gut feeling. Monday Night Football on the road. I don't feel good about it. Look, I think the Vikings got a shot, but I'm just not feeling good about it right now.
Guys, we have been Vikings fans long enough to say we don't have to defend why we think the Vikings might lose a game.
No, we don't.
No, we
don't. Because they've lost them in every which way but loose.
Yeah. So Drew and I have 1-1 out of the gate. Chris has 2-0. Chris, Mr. Optimism, week 3 at home against Detroit. You take that one.
The Vikings are hopefully still going to be kind of miffed about what happened the last time they played Detroit when Jared Goff, of all freaking people, marched them down the field with less than 2 minutes remaining and got a last-second touchdown because Mike Zimmer decided it was important to defend the 5th row of the seats behind the end zone rather than the goal line. I know the Lions have improved. I know they're going to be a chic pick to have a significant improvement this year. I'm not seeing it. I think the Vikings win at home, 3-0. Woohoo!
That's
high cotton, boys. That's some high cotton.
Drew Bunning, what do you got?
I do have the Vikings. The Vikings cannot lose this game. If anything this season, there's some games on here you got to have, and this is the first one that you got to have.
Yeah.
You can't blow this game. It's at home, and O'Connell, if should have him rolling pretty nicely. Even if we're 1-1, we're going to play well in Philly. We have a chance to be undefeated, like Chris said. But this is a game. You're better roster. You got a better team. You got a better quarterback. You got a better running game. You got a better team. You may not have better defensive ends, but you got to beat Detroit at home. I got 2-1. Vikings win that game.
Yeah, I got the win at home. I will say, I think Detroit, low key, might be one of the more improved teams in the NFL this year. I like what Dan Campbell's doing. I thought they had a very exceptional draft. They fleeced the Vikings in that first round trade we've talked about ad nauseum. They got some good players out of that draft, at least on paper. We'll see how that goes. But I still think I think by week 3, the Vikings are going to start feeling their oats a little bit, especially on defense and who they are, and start forming their identity. And if the Vikings are going to start making a run or maybe making a statement in 2022, I think it's going to be with this game again at home against Detroit.
Harkening back to what Chris just said, when we were defending the back of the end zone on that play in Detroit, that was it for me with Zimmer. That was it.
Really, that was it? It wasn't like the 2 years previous? It wasn't the
what?
It wasn't the 15 games prior to that or whatever it was?
No, it was. It was.
That was just the last straw.
What in the hell were they doing? I don't want to digress too far in it, but that's ridiculous, guys.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that's going to win us games this year and not lose us games.
I think so too. I agree.
Chris has us undefeated after 3. Chris, Gates.
So Chris, run the table. Gates is 3-0. Drew and I are both sitting at 2-1 after 3
Tell
games.
us, pick those games, Taekwondo. It's all you.
Absolutely.
Week 4. They travel across the pond, as they say, to jolly old England to face the New Orleans Saints.
Enough with these London games.
Yeah, what do you guys think of the whole London experience? You're not a fan, Drew?
No. You got soccer. You keep all that. We got taking a game away from somebody's hometown. Every time they show the crowd there, they don't seem to care anyway. Come on. I don't like any games out of the United States. I'm old school, I guess, with that. Maybe.
And worse still, if you're over in California like Drew is, that damn thing kicks off at 6:30 in the morning.
It is early. I like it because I can get up and have early coffee. But I think I think the games should all be here, and I'll probably get a lot of bashing for that. But I just feel like football games should be here, Ted. That's all.
You don't have to get up early if you stay up all night, man. Yeah.
I'm on that base player schedule.
Yeah, the last time the Vikings played in England, that was rough because that 6:30 kickoff time was a monster.
Ed, what do you think of those games across the pond? Cheerio, pip pip, oh, good night, mate.
You know, I think 1 or 2 a year is okay. I get the NFL wanting to grow the game, but it feels to me like the NFL is moving towards a permanent team in Europe, be it London, Germany, whatever. And if you do one, you almost have to do two. And no.
Okay. Never really talked about it on this show, but
yeah, the London Jaguars. I mean, as often as Jacksonville plays over there. So, but historically, the Vikings have played well when they traveled over to London. I don't think they've lost a game when they played over there, have they?
They beat the Browns, I think, and
they beat the Steelers before that in 2013.
Yeah.
Well,
and New Orleans. I mean, look, as long as Taysom Hill is the answer at quarterback, I don't even want to know what your question is. They suck. Vikes win. Go to 3-1.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to play a famous Jameis at quarterback, but that doesn't make any difference either. He's not any good either. He had that game against the Packers last year where he threw like 5 touchdown passes and then he did nothing. So, yep, 4-0. Chalk it up for the Vikings.
Drew?
Absolutely.
We own Wembley. We own Liverpool. We own Manchester United. We own London, man. The Vikings own it. 3-1. I'm giving them the victory here, but I do not think it'll be a blowout. I think it's going to come all the way down to the wire. The game scares me, but all Viking games kind of scare you. But I think we will eke out the win and stay undefeated over where the clash started in London.
All right.
So Chris has 4-0 right now.
4-0, and you and I are 3-1. I don't know what the hell's going on with us.
Jesus, what's up with Gates, man?
I don't know.
It's the Kool-Aid, man. I'm telling you.
That's all right.
All right.
Got to drink something in the dungeon. Look at you, the submarine.
So one quarter of the way in, you and I have them 3-1. Chris has them going undefeated so far. Week 5, Chicago Bears at home. Drew, what do you think about the Bears this year?
We're going to kick their ass. We're going to kick their ass both times we play them. We are going to kick the Bears. We're going to kick Fields' ass. We're going to kick their ass. The Vikings are going to win this game by 3 touchdowns going away. Vikings all the way. Put your money on it. Make your parlays. Make your money, people. Right here, Vikings Report. You're hearing it live. Big win. Big win for the Vikings right here.
Chris?
I mean, you don't want to say this about a divisional opponent because divisional games are always weird for whatever reason, but the Bears might be one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the NFL this year. I mean, Justin Fields if he doesn't go the full Derek Carr after this season, God bless him. I mean, it's not going to be pretty for the Bears. And yeah, I think the Vikings win this one. It's going to be weird not playing them at home in week 18, but I guess that tradition is broken now.
Yeah. But they're still playing the Bears in week 18. We'll get to that.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Like the Bears, and look, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Bears are replicating the Vikings' recent recipe for success. We all know they signed Dakota Dozier either today or yesterday, earlier this week. They signed wide receiver Tajay, 3 targets all year. Sharp.
How many catches for Sharp, Chris Gates, the whole time he was a Viking?
The same number as you, me, and Ted had. 0. None. Not a one.
John Blutarski's grade point average 0.0. That is 50% Tupperware, baby.
Tajay Sharp, man. What year was that? 2020?
Remember Spielman talking about a big signing? Ted, that's a big signing for us. God, come on, dude.
Terrible. Everybody who thought Ryan Pohl should have been the Vikings GM, I hope. Stick by your guy, because
why would you sign Dakota Dozier?
He hasn't been
goes in your head to sign that guy.
Well, that and like everything they needed to do was to like get offensive weapons and offensive line help for their quarterback they traded up to get. And they have done the exact opposite. I think the Bears are going to be awful this year.
That's why we're going to dust them by 3 touchdowns. They're going to come in. And I know it's a divisional game, and Chris makes sense. All divisional games have weird, like quirky shit happen to them. I just think the Vikings are going to start out that game with Jefferson and just keep sacking the quarterback, and they're going to pile it on. I have a big win there.
All right, week 6 at Miami, South Beach. A lot of people on Twitter are trying to make this their travel game to go see the Vikings this year. I don't think they're going to win. They don't play well outside on grass. They just don't. Maybe it'll be different with Kevin O'Connell, but that's an L. I'm putting that down as an L. And they got Tua throwing to Tyreek Hill, and I don't know, man. I think Miami's going to be decent this year.
Tempting to throw to Tyreek Hill. Coming up a little short, Ted.
Well, I mean, Tua throw to Hill across the middle on a crossing route. Name a cornerback on the Vikings are going to be able to keep up with him on that route.
Nobody.
There you go.
No, I gotta agree. I think this is an L for the Vikings, unfortunately, because I don't. It's not that I think Miami is going to be like a great team or anything like that, but Ted just said between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, there's going to be some matchup problems there, and yeah, outdoors on grass, just not really the Vikings thing. So yeah, we'll put this one down as a loss.
Drew.
Yeah, they're going to pound Chicago, and they're feel real good about themselves at 4-1 right there, and then they're going to go to Miami and get the chip knocked off their shoulder and get knocked down a little bit. I have this as a loss also, and so let's talk about the overall record up to the bye so far.
Well, we've got you and I have 4-2,
okay,
and Chris has 5-1,
which we're all happy with at this, right? We're all happy if that's
absolutely.
If the Vikings are 4-2 or 5-1 at the bye, I mean, I would argue if you look at their schedule coming off the bye, they got a tough slate of games. If you want to think that the Minnesota Vikings can be a playoff team, I think 4-2 is probably the worst they can do to get to the bye, and then look at their playoff, and then coming out of the bye and making their run to the postseason, hopefully.
And even more importantly about that, all 3 of their divisional home playoff games are part of those first 5 games. You got to win your divisional games at home, and you've got Green Bay at home, you've got Detroit at home, and you've got Chicago at home in the first 5 weeks. You got to go 3-0 there. There's no excuse for not going 3-0.
Yeah.
So 5-1, 4-2, 4-2 per our panel here tonight. Now, for a quick second before we move on to week 8, let's flip that. What if the Vikings are 1-5 or 2-4 going into that bye? What is going to be percolating with the fan base and with the coaching staff and with the players themselves and with the locker room? Do they hold it together? Do they hold it together if that happens? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like for me, I don't think as a fan, looking at a first-year coach and his staff and the new offense and the new defense and all that, I think it's going to take some time for them to gel. And 4-2 is probably overly optimistic.
Okay.
But you counter that with the talent that the offense has and the offensive scheming that Kevin O'Connell can do. And you can talk yourself. I mean, look, you can talk yourself into 4-2 or 5-1. That's exactly what we're doing. But no matter how they start, I would think the fans would at least be patient with the new coach, the new GM, the new personnel, and what they're trying to do. As long as they're not getting blown out like 41-10.
Viking fans being patient. You hear
fair
that, Chris?
point? Yeah, that's fair.
You hear that? Yeah. How many Viking fans do you know that are patient?
Yeah, fair.
Oh, everybody sucks all the time at that point. If we're 2-4,
yeah.
I mean, looking at those first 6 games, we got to be got to get 4 wins out of that, Ted. Because, like you said, Murderer's Row is coming up.
It is.
So
it is.
Okay.
So then they got the bye in week 7, which is actually later than a lot of us thought, because the NFL was talking about every team is going to play an overseas game this year, and then the bye was supposed to be after that overseas game, with the Vikings playing the Saints in week 4. Kind of thought it was going to be early for a bye. This actually isn't too bad. I mean, it's not in the middle, but it's better than really early. But after the bye, coming out of the bye, they're home against the Arizona Cardinals and the 4'7" Kyler Murray.
I believe after his PED suspension, this will be the first game of the season for DeAndre Hopkins.
For DeAndre Hopkins, yeah,
he's got to sit the first 6 weeks, so this will be his first game back. But
that sucks.
The Cardinals. I know the Vikings had that close game against the Cardinals last year, but the Cardinals got off to that hot start, and every year since Cliff Kingsbury has been their coach, they have been absolutely abysmal in the second half of the year. I don't know if this doesn't qualify as the second half of the year yet, but that whether the drop off starts. I mean, because outside of DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, they did trade for Hollywood Brown. Yeah, this one's a toughie.
So what do you got? Win or loss, Chris?
What the hell with it? Let's give them a win. Let's give them a win at home.
There we go.
Drew Bunning.
This is going to be this is a tough game to call because I think both these teams have equal firepower offensively.
Yeah.
They both have pretty good defenses, but I'm bringing in the fact that we stole their best tackler, that linebacker Hicks. We stole him
Jordan Hicks.
from them, and a little bit of payback from last year. It's a game that the Cardinals know they should have lost. They're coming in here knowing in their heads and in their mind and in their brain they know they should have lost that game. So I think the Vikings are going to regroup from that bye, and this is a really tough game to call. But since the Cardinals got the lucky win last year, I'm going to give this one to the Vikings.
All right. I still have yet to have faith in the Vikings playing a good team and beating them, even though they're at home. Cardinals went to the playoffs last year, and but the Vikings should have won, and they should have just kicked a field goal. Well, they didn't.
Yeah,
they lost. And they're going to lose this time to Arizona. So they're going to drop to 4-3.
Okay.
I think. Drew, you've got 5-2.
Yep.
Chris, you got 5-2 as well.
No, Chris has 6-1.
I'm at 6-1.
Yeah, 6-1.
Chris has us in the NFC title game.
Mr. Shiny Happy People at 6-1.
Chris has us winning the damn bowl, baby. Yeah.
Drew, you got it at 5-2. I got him at 4-3. All right, week 9 at the Washington Commanders, also the artist formerly known as the Washington Football Team. Prior to that, for 120 years or whatever it was, the Washington Redskins. But they're now the Washington Commanders, not the Washington going commando. Washington Commanders.
Washington Commanders.
Drew, you got a win or a loss here.
Just because their names are Commanders, they're going to lose. No, you know what? I went through before we even started this show tonight, and I kind of picked the games. We talk about the key to any season. You got to go undefeated at home, win half your road games, and you're in the playoffs. That's generally my recipe for the schedule every year. And you got to win the 2 or 3 games on there. You have to win. This is like the Detroit game. You got to win this game.
Really?
But I also see this is one of those games we had to win this game and we fell short. How did we lose this game? That's how I think it's what's going to happen in Washington because it's a road game.
Yeah.
I think this is one we're all going to go into it feeling all good, like the Bengals game last year. Oh, we had Vikings, and then I got that weird gut feeling about it. But this is definitely a game that the Vikings should win. We probably give them an 80% chance, but I have a feeling we're going to come out on the wrong end of it and be very angry about it.
So you're saying loss?
I'm saying loss.
All right, Chris.
Is Taylor Heineke still the starting quarterback in Washington?
No,
I honest to God don't even know who they're starting.
No, they traded. Right, yeah, they.
Oh no! It's the Carson Wentz show.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's either Carson Wentz or Gus Frerotte. I'm not.
Jay Schrader was unavailable for comment, but yeah, I think Drew's onto something here because there's those 1 or 2 games every year that the Vikings play, and you figure that there's no chance in hell they're going to lose this football game, and then they go out and they just absolutely soil themselves and lose the football game. I I could see this being one of those kind of games. I mean, Washington's pretty solid on defense. I mean, their offense might not be great, although Terry McLaurin is vastly underrated by just about everybody.
Hey, what school did he go to?
Don't say Chris. Why do you set it up like why? Why does he set it up like that? Terry McLaurin, you know where it's going. It's going straight down Buckeye Alley, baby. It's going straight down the alley.
Ted, you owe me $5. Anyway, what I was saying there is, I think this could be one of those typical Vikings games where they soil themselves and we just spend the whole week going, what the hell happened there? So, yeah,
Glad I've never soiled myself.
I'll put them down. I'll put them down for a loss here. I think as weird as it sounds to think we're going to lose to Washington, I think that's what we're gonna see.
All right, I got to win here. There's games that you feel bad about and you're not sure about, and then the Vikings come out and play a really good football game all the way around. I think they win this game, and they go 5-3. So we've got 5-3. Drew and I have them 5-3 at this point. Chris, you've got them at 6-2. Week 10 at the Buffalo Bills. The Minnesota Vikings are going to get their tits licked by the Buffalo Bills. 5-4. Loss. What's that? 10, big loss. Is that like 30-3 in the fourth quarter kind of game? I think Stephon Diggs is going to have an absolute career game. I just do.
I do not feel good about that game.
No, I definitely don't feel good about this game either. I mean, the Bills conceivably could have won the Super Bowl last year. They haven't gotten any worse. I don't think it's going to be pretty up there in Buffalo. So, but the only hope is if it's to the point of the season where the weather is really, really garbage up in Buffalo, and it kind of negates the passing game a little bit. But yeah, I don't see it happening.
All right. Well, moving on then.
Too much firepower for Buffalo. Even if we're an offensive team, and they're getting better on defense. They got a lot of key players. They're going to have a great squad this year, I think. I got the Vikings. No, I have the Vikings on a 3-game losing streak, Ted.
I've got them. Oh, you had them. You had them losing to Arizona? I thought you had them. You got them losing 3 out of 4. You had them losing to Miami, beating Arizona, then to Washington, Buffalo.
Yeah, I had them at 5-2. Now I got them at 5-4. So ESAT Nation is bubbling, going, see, I told you.
Yeah.
I got them at 5.
Yeah, from the Miami game, we all have them losing 3-4. And by this point, Vikings Nation will be apoplectic. Fire everybody. Adolfo Mensah's reign is over. Fire him. Bring back Spielman. Call Zimmer down at his ranch. Save the season.
As long as we don't send Jared Allen and Steve Hutchinson on a plane to Kentucky to go get Mike Zimmer, I think we'll be okay. I know we say this about Vikings fans a lot and how we're impatient and unforgiving and whatever, and we kind of are. I understand that, but I think the Vikings could go 0-17 this year, and I don't think anybody's getting fired because this is just the start of things.
You gotta understand with this fan base. The first sign of trouble, the first sign of 3 out of 4 losses, 3 straight losses, the fan base is going to come unglued. You guys know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah.
Probably 2 losses in a row. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. They suck.
If the Vikings start off 0-2, it's going to be the fire everybody crowd is going to dominate the airwaves.
That's why all those games before the bye, O'Connell's got to build up the team, build up the fan base and the team. So when you run into this hard time, the schedule could go really close to what we're saying here. And the Vikings are sitting at 5-4 and 6-3. Chris has them at 6-3. Me and you have them at 5-4. This could very well happen on this little stretch of games.
Okay, week 11, home against the Dallas Cowboys. I have 2 ways this game is going to go. If Dak Prescott starts, the Vikings win by 2 touchdowns. If Cooper Rush starts, the Vikings lose by 3.
Oh, Jesus. What? Just open up that wound again, Ted. That was awesome. Great.
Look, Chris or Drew, one of you mentioned earlier, you're not really impressed with the NFC East. I'm not either. I don't think Mike McCarthy's a great coach. I think Dak Prescott is just an okay quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott is on the downside of his career. He's just looked bad the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's a turd now, isn't he?
I think the Vikings. I think the Vikings kind of pull out of the funk that we kind of have them on losing 3 out of this 4, and they win. They beat the Cowboys at home. I'm counting that game as a win. They're going to 6-4. Chris,
I think I can agree with that. I mean, Amari Cooper has killed the Vikings the last couple of years. He's not with Dallas anymore. He's in Cleveland now. CeeDee Lamb is still pretty good, but I don't think he's going to be as effective without Amari Cooper there. Like you said, Ezekiel Elliott is not good at this point, and that's going to be a home game for the Vikings. I think it's going to be a win. We'll put them up to 7-3 here.
Drew,
can I pick a tie? I have a hard time. I'm not going to pick a tie. That'll just throw a big ugly wrench. Nobody wants to figure that out. I had a hard time choosing this game because it could, as much as it feels like a win, it could feel like a loss if we shoot ourselves in the foot. And I have us at 5-4 right now, so it's kind of season speaking. If it was 5-4, it would be a really high pressure must-win game.
Mm-hmm.
But everything Chris just said, they lost Gregory too off the edge. So
yeah,
I am going to show some faith in the Vikings that they won't shoot themselves in the foot and they won't line up 15 yards deep when the other team needs 8 yards. And I'm going to show that this is really the win they need to keep, because they can't go to 5-5. They'll be pretty much shot. So I'm going to give them the win to make it 6-4.
All righty. Week 12. Vikings are playing on Thanksgiving. So I've got them at 6-4. Drew, you got them at 6-4.
Okay. Chris has 7-3, right?
Chris has 7-3. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me write that down real quick. Okay.
So the Vikings boys are playing on Thanksgiving, and it's not against Detroit. It's not against the Cowboys. It's at home. Thanksgiving night, prime time, against the greatest coach in the history of the NFL, the New England Fighting Belichicks.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I can't tell you about that.
Everything in this game lines up as a disaster for the Vikings. Prime time.
I wouldn't line it up as that. If you want to call it a disaster, that's fine. That's why we play the game. We're gonna play the game. We're gonna see what happens, and then we're gonna down to that. But if you want to call it a disaster, you can go right ahead and do that. But I don't think we're gonna have.
We need to get you a hoodie, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Who's winning on turkey night? We're all gonna be stuffed. We're all gonna be happy because we're all stuffed. We have a few drinks. Hey, Ted, you're the guy that likes those baked beans on Thanksgiving, right?
I do. My daughter makes them. Yeah, my oldest daughter makes them.
Well, I imagine she makes really great baked beans.
That's
does. Not Thanksgiving food, bro. No.
Yes, it is.
Oh, no baked beans. You got turkey, stuffing, turkey, mashed potatoes, and a roll, man.
Beans are not a Thanksgiving dinner if you grew up behind the Iron Curtain as a communist. Sure. Sure.
Not a Thanksgiving meal. It's not part of the Thanksgiving. I want it stopped.
It's not. Welcome to America. Chris, you can have beans on Thanksgiving if you want.
Let Gates decide. Is it Chris decide? Baked beans for Thanksgiving.
I'm not going to eat them, but if you want them, you can have them. I'm not.
That's middle of the road answer right there, man.
You're damn right it is.
What are you, a politician? Wow. All right. So are they beating New England or not, boys? Are they beating New England or not?
I don't. Yeah, like you said, everything about this game. The last time the Vikings beat the Patriots, we had Dante Culpepper throwing touchdown passes to Johnny McWilliams.
What?
It's been that long. The year 2000.
God.
The last time the Vikings beat the Patriots was in 2000, and that included a couple of pretty embarrassing losses at home. So, yeah, I don't care if it's Mac Jones or whoever it is for the Patriots. I just don't like the Vikings' chances in this one. I'm gonna put this one down as an L.
Drew?
Turkey high, wild turkey high. We are going to be, at the end of this game, even ESAT Nation, we're all going to be drinking together. We're going to the Super Bowl. We beat the Patriots. I'm telling you, it's going to be a joyous Thanksgiving night. We'll be sipping baked beans. I'll be eating baked beans even. Vikings win this game, and everybody's happy on Thanksgiving. We're all together. Kumbaya. We're going to the Super Bowl.
All right, so Drew and Chris have them at 7-4, and I've got them at 6-5. All right, Drew, you talk about a handful of games that you absolutely have to win every year. I would argue Week 13 at home against the New York Jets is one of those games. If you don't beat the New York Jets at home, you got no business talking playoffs that late in the year. I'm counting that as a win for the Vikings.
Chris?
No, absolutely. I know the Jets have like 8 first-round picks this year, or whatever the hell it was. And they've gotten better, but they're still not very good. They're still clearly the number 4 team in the AFC East, I think, by a significant distance. And I think if the Vikings lose on Thanksgiving, like I think they're going to, I think they bounce back and absolutely crush the Jets in this one.
Drew? So you're going, man, you guys are going to be so angry at me. I do not want to look back in the schedule, Ted Glover and Chris Gates, and say that Commanders and that Jets loss cost us the division. I do not want to do that, but you guys very well know we could be doing that because
yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's the Vikings. I do not like this game. I don't like it. I don't want to pick the Jets. I really don't, but you're going to win the games. You got to win. You got to win it. So I am going to show some faith, even though I don't want to pick it because they're coming off that big win opposite what Chris thought on Thanksgiving. I think they're going to beat them. I'm going to give them the slight win over the Jets, but it's certainly not going to be as one-sided as we think it is.
All right, 8-4. I've got them 7-5.
Okay.
The following week 14, on the road at Detroit.
Screw Detroit. They're going to lose.
You know, I don't know that you can count it. Maybe earlier in the year, maybe in week 3. I think by week 14 on the road, this is not a gimme game. And we saw last year the Vikings barely beat Detroit at home, and then they lost to them on the road when the Saints hadn't won when the Lions hadn't won a game all year. I think they split against the Lions. If I've got them winning at home, I've got them losing this game. 7-6.
No. Drew's right. Screw Detroit. They win this one too. The Lions might be coming together by that time. I mean, the Vikings are rolling in there at 8-4, 7-5, coming off of a whooping against the Jets. Yeah, I think they beat Detroit. I think they sweep them again, like we're accustomed to seeing. And everything will be right with the universe again. And yeah, they'll win this one. They'll win.
Drew?
I am in agreement with Taekwondo Chris. As far as I'm concerned, it's a revenge game. And Amon St. Brown, flush it down. They ain't winning this game again. They got lucky last year, and the Vikings know it. They're going to go in there, and they're going to take care of business. They're going to win. Okay. Vikings.
All right, week 15 at home against
I got them at 9-4. 9-4?
You guys have them at 9-4. I've got them at 7-6.
You're probably the more accurate.
All right, week 15 at home against the Indianapolis Colts, led by new quarterback Matt Ryan,
who has struggled against the Vikings in his career.
He's not played particularly well against the Vikings. Chris, how do you see this game playing out?
This is another tough one. I mean, the Colts are a solid football team. They replaced Carson Wentz with Matt Ryan, so that's an upgraded quarterback. Their defense is really good. I'm going to put this one down as a loss, as much as I don't want to.
All right, so you drop them to 9-5 with the loss, Drew.
I have this game as a loss, also very close, and I think it's one of those games, guys. When we do the show afterwards, Ted, we're going to all look at each other and say, man, we had it. We let it get away. It's going to be the had it and let it get away game. This one's going to hurt. This one's going to hurt because it'll feel like we all played them, and they'll get the cheap W out of the thing, but I have it as a loss also.
I've also got it as a loss, dropping them to 7-7. You guys have them at 9-5 at this point. And this is one of those games I feel that you're for the fans that are the eternal optimists and think the Vikings are just like that close to winning the Super Bowl. They're going to point to this game and they're going to say, well, they outgained the Colts 472 yards to 294, and they were up 24-20 with 1 minute to go. They lost 27-24. They're shiny, happy people. And there's a reason they're still not a very good football team.
You got to love the voice, don't you? You got to love that voice.
Rabbit W. Farnsworth, yeah?
Oh, where's Robbie Farnsworth been the last 2 months, man?
All right, week 16. The Vikings, again, this is one of those.
Oh, boy.
If there are games you are expected to win, I would think the New York Giants is would be one of those games because I don't think the Giants are very good, Drew.
We lick tits on the Giants every time we play those guys, it seems like, and it's not going to be any different. Christmas Eve. We'll be tipping them back. Kumbaya. Big show afterwards. Vikings in a big roll. Big night. Vikings are going to, I don't think it's a night game. It's a day game, though, right?
Yeah.
No,
Should be an
it's,
afternoon.
yeah, it's Christmas Eve, but it's a noon kickoff.
I think this will be the game where it all clicks, guys. Where it all, we have a lot of weird games leading up to this point, but I think they got it figured out. And I think the Vikings are going to roll the Giants pretty easy. I think they are.
All right.
Yeah, I got to agree with Drew. I think that the Giants decided not to pick up the fifth-year option on Daniel Jones. This is going to be the end of the Daniel Jones era, potentially in New York. He's not been good or what they expected. And it's going to be the last regular season home game of the year for the Vikings. And like Drew said, it's going to be Christmas time. People may be a little lubricated, I guess is the term here. So
your mom's lubricated.
Anyway.
Oh!
Jesus.
Sorry.
God.
Chris's mom, if you're watching, that was
You're
wildly inappropriate, and I send you my apologies.
Chris's mom just.
I was going to say, you're lucky my mother's not watching. But no. But yeah, I think this is going to be a blowout for the Vikings. I think they get win number 10 here, and that
Give me a final.
Here put them in the playoffs. But
Give me a final on this one, Chris. I want finals from you guys. Give me a final score in this one game.
I'm going to say Vikings 34, Giants 14.
I'm going to write it down. 34.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be like a statement win for the Vikings. They're going to go to 8-7.
Okay.
And people are going to say, hey, this team has been up and down all year. This is where they finally put it together. They're now 8-7, and this is where the run begins. They're going to beat the hell out of the Giants.
Give me a score, Ted.
27-3.
27-3.
And you're going to like, and they're going to say, fans are going to say, the light has come on the Ed Donatel defense. They were flying around. They were making plays, and they had a pick six, and they had a scoop and score for a fumble, and nobody will say, but Daniel Jones was the quarterback, because Daniel Jones is the quarterback, and he's terrible.
This thing is going to get so out of hand. We're talking beyond Millsap at the corn maze. It's going to be big out of hand, guys. This is the game the Vikings set their team sack record in this year.
Ooh, that's a spicy hot take for Drew Bunting.
You jot it down. I want to see you writing that down because I want to revisit it after we set I think the record's 9 against the Lions or something?
Sack
10.
record.
They got Stafford 10 times a couple of years ago at US Bank.
That was a great game.
Man, that's more sacks than Lindsay Lohan got on New Year's Eve 1997.
And she holds the record for sack action.
All righty. Week 17. So now the Vikings finish up their last two games on the road against divisional opponents. Week 17, New Year's Day at Lambeau Field and the Green Bay Packers. Drew Bunting, how do you see this game going?
All isn't quiet on New Year's Day. We're
Win or loss?
Lose. I have a feeling. I pick the split every year, dude. You know I do. We're not going to win this game. We fall short. We're not going to have very much energy. We're coming off that big pounding of the Giants sack. I have a feeling going to fall a little bit short on this one. I got us falling to 10-6, guys.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, this is the portion of the year where the Packers finally get it together. Usually, at least I don't think Sean Mannion will be starting this year at Lambeau Field.
Oh.
So that means we might actually have a chance at winning. But I don't think it's going to be. It might be close, but I don't think the Vikings are going to pull out a win here. I got them down for a loss in this one.
Yeah, I got a loss too. I think they're going to get swept by the Packers this year. I think the Green Bay game comes too early. The second Green Bay game comes too late. It's outside. I bet the Vikings will be dealing with a couple or key injuries. I'm sure the Packers will be too. I got them dropping to 8-8. So we will wrap up the season, the regular season, at Soldier Field against the Chicago Bears, who are probably only going to have like 4 or 5 wins at this point. I just don't think the Bears are going to be very good. I really don't. No. Drew, how do you see this game going?
We're going to beat the Bears. Well, first off, it's going to be 11-7 in the fourth quarter because both teams had a couple safeties and they missed 9 field goals. And it's what do we call it last year? Soldier Field scoring or something? It's always a weird ass thing.
It's just a weird thing. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. But I called for the sweep. If this is a game that wins us a division because we're going to win it, we're going to end up 5-1 in the division, and that's going to get us the division crown.
Wow.
So this will be for the NFC North. So I got us winning the division on the better divisional record with that team from Wisconsin, and I got us sweeping the Bears, and this leads us right into the divisional crown.
Wow! Look at you, Kevin O'Connell, NFC Coach of the Year.
People are looking at the screen right now, going, "This guy is such a homer." But you guys know me, though. You know I'm not a homer. I'm the least homer guy. I'm the biggest skeptic. If Drew's picking a division championship, I mean, I'm the guy. I'm usually the gloom. So yeah. I just have a feeling when I look through the schedule, I think that's how it's going to end, 11-6.
Hey, that's fair. I mean, it's not, dude. It's not unrealistic. I mean, I think some things will have to break the Vikings' way. I remember our friend when Tyler Fornes, when he was on our show, he said for folks that think the Vikings are going to do well, that Kevin O'Connell is going to do everything good that Mike Zimmer did bad in terms of coaching, and all the bad things that happened aren't going to happen again in terms of injuries and all that, and bad luck. And look, man, I mean, it's possible when you have a first-year coach, new attitude, new outlook, new way of doing things, new offense, new defense. It's possible players could respond very positively. I mean, it sounded like it was a very toxic environment in Minnesota at the end of the Mike Zimmer regime. I mean, your head coach didn't even talk to your star quarterback, which just seemed weird and dysfunctional in so many different ways. And I mean, if O'Connell can fix those problems, I think that is going to result in wins that we're not seeing materialize yet, but are definitely there.
Part of the reason I got the 11-6, Ted, is remember when Nagy got to the Bears? Remember that first season, everything was rolling right with him. Every call that guy made as a head coach was perfect. He was the guy. He's a coach for the next 20 years. The guy, unbelievable. They had this kind of positive rolling season. That's how I feel it's going to work out for O'Connell.
Okay, that's not unrealistic. Chris, what about you? You think they're going to beat the Bears in the last week of the season?
I think they are actually at Soldier Field, the ancient Chippewa burial ground that Soldier Field sits on top of, because weird crap happens in Chicago every time these two teams play there. But I think you're right. The Bears are only going to have about 4 or 5 wins. They may have packed it in by this point in the season. I think the Vikings win this one. I know they infamously lost the win and get into the playoffs game against the Bears in 2018. I don't think O'Connell is going to let that kind of thing happen if it comes down to it. So yeah, I've got the Vikings winning this one and finishing 11-6. I don't know if it's going to be good enough for the division title, but it's certainly going to be good enough for the playoffs.
All right,
Chippewa burial ground.
So
what do you have, Ted, for that last week?
8-8. I think at 8-8, it's going to be a win and in scenario. That extra playoff spot will allow that to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin O'Connell takes the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs in his rookie year. I think they beat the Bears. They go 9-8 as a wild card. And look, I don't see this team as a Super Bowl team in 2022. I want them to be. I think they have good players. I think they need a little bit of seasoning. I think it's going to take some time for the coaching staff and the players to gel under the new systems. But I can see the potential there in 2023 and beyond. A couple breaks either way, just like Drew and Chris predicted, this very well could be an 11-16. I don't think they're going to be a 5-12 team. I don't think they're going to be a 6-11 team. Vegas has them at an 8, and their over/under for wins is 8.5, 8.5. This team is very intriguing to me. I don't know about you guys, but these last few years after the 2019 season, the Minnesota Vikings didn't appear to have the potential to be very good to me. They seemed like a mediocre football team on the way down.
Sure.
I think this year they've got more than 8-8 talent or 9-8 talent. They seem kind of like a middle of the road team, but they're on the rise. I do believe that they are on the rise with the new coach who's in tune with the quarterback, who already has a great offensive pieces to throw to and distribute the ball to. It just, for me, it's the defense. How is Ed Donatel going to get this defense in shape? Because that to me is a $64 question. If they can get a mid-range 15th, 16th ranked defense, this team can go and do some serious damage in the NFL this year.
I like how the schedule is played out. If you sit back and you look at the schedule, you look at the first 5 weeks, Ted. You look at the first 5 weeks; those are where we got to gather our wins. The crucial part is between Miami and the Buffalo game. But look at the schedule, guys. Look at it right now. You got a month and a half of home games, and the only away game is at Detroit, which is kind of a home game. So you're almost at home 6 straight weeks, Chris Gates. If you look at week 11, Dallas, all the way to the Giants, you're almost home you're home 5 weeks out of the 6. Yeah, that's where you make your bread and butter. That's where you're going to make your season right there. That's when you're going to make your season right there.
That is absolutely a huge stretch. And, Ted said that, in order for this team to be good, a lot of things need to go right. And a lot of those things have to be on defense. I mean, you look at guys like Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. Combined, they played 1 game last year. Those two are no, I'm thinking of Hunter played 6 games last year. Zadarius Smith only played 1. I was thinking of the year before where Hunter missed the entire year. Those 2 guys need to stay healthy. Those 2 guys need to stay healthy and terrorize opposing quarterbacks the way they're capable of doing, so that the rest of the Donatel defense can work the way it's supposed to. I know the Vikings either led or were close to leading the NFL in sacks last year, but adding a Zadarius Smith and having a healthy Danielle Hunter hasn't been healthy since 2019. That guy needs to stay healthy because he's once again going to be playing for a contract. And they need to keep that guy in the field. That's one of the main things that needs to go right. They need to keep their key guys healthy as much as possible. But, if you can keep those guys on the field, you got to think the offensive line is going to be better again. And, Kevin O'Connell seems to think he has the potential to unlock whatever Kirk Cousins has had getting away for the last 4 years. So, it can be a really interesting season for this team. But like Ted said, and as is the case with any championship team, you got to have a lot of things go right. And if that happens for the Vikings this year, this is a solid football team, I think.
Drew?
I think right along the lines of talking about the injuries that Chris just mentioned, I think you got to put Eric Kendricks in there too. I don't think this team's ready to win consistently without Eric Kendricks playing middle linebacker. I don't think they are. I don't think they have his replacement yet. Maybe they do. Maybe it'll be. I think they need him to make a run. But you look at Zadarius Smith, Hunter, Andrew Booth, Lewis Seen. Just take those 4 guys. I'm not talking about anybody else. That is going to vault the defense up into the mid-teens right off the bat. I think those are premier players. I'm not worried about the offense.
Lewis Seen signed his contract, by the way. He signed, sealed, and delivered.
Get everybody signed up. I think the defense is going to be marketably better. It is. They got a shutdown guy. Well, hopefully with Booth. Booth and Seen are both very aggressive players. Just the changes they made on defense, Ted, can make up for everything you just mentioned, because it was a poor defensive squad last year. But still, a bunch of those freaking games came down to the end. And having guys like Seen and Booth and Zadarius Smith pushes you over to the win side of some of those games.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about this team. I think I quite frankly can't believe so many people are down about this team. This team has, like Tyler Fornes said on our show, they have a lot of great foundation pieces. They really do. I think 11-6 is easily attainable, and I think the division is right there for us to take. I do.
It is. My concern is new coach, new schemes on both sides of the ball, and how, historically, rookie coaches in the NFL don't have a great first year. Some do. You had Matt Nagy. You talked about Matt Nagy's rookie year. Kevin O'Connell has the tools in place to succeed. I mean, a lot of the reasons a first-year head coach doesn't do well is because there's not a whole lot of talent. I don't think that's the case with the Vikings. For me, it's how well does that talent gel under the new coaching staff, and how well does the new coaching staff handle themselves during game day with in-game decisions, handling the timeouts, when to challenge, when not to challenge. That's a learning process too. And even hell, after 6 years or whatever it was with Mike Zimmer, he still didn't know when to use a timeout. He still didn't know when to challenge a player, when not to challenge a play. So, and Zimmer wasn't a terrible coach. I mean, he had a good record. So it just goes to see, it just remains to be seen for me. Very much a prove it kind of thing. And if they can, like you said, he has an easy schedule to get going. And look, if the Vikings can get some wind in their sails and start off 4-2 or 5-1, get a couple of big wins against Green Bay, maybe New Orleans, maybe steal that Arizona game. This is a team that's younger, they're faster, they're hungry. They've all the guys they've drafted now have played at schools that have seen a lot of success. And the success, just like failure, success breeds upon itself, as does failure. And maybe with the new staff, that whole line of here we go again, that we are so quick to embrace as fans of this team for so long, is something that he can maybe coach out of them. I'm excited, but I'm also hedging my bets because I just think it may be a year away before this team to really comes together and really starts making some noise.
That's very well said, and I completely understandable all the way around. And one person I will throw out there that O'Connell's not going to have, he had the luxury last year of being on a team that had Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald flipped the possessions, he flipped the field, he flipped the running backs, he flipped everybody. He flipped everybody off. We don't have Aaron Donald, and that guy is a big difference maker on the Rams. And maybe we'll find one day, but that's a luxury O'Connell doesn't have. But he's got to work with what he does have. And this defense is a lot, believe me, folks, it's a lot better than it was.
Chris, you got any last words before we get out of here? Because I gotta sign off and go watch the Blues kick the hell out of the Wild, win the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And there goes all our listeners.
No, I think we've pretty well covered it. The potential is there for this team. There's no reason for them to be. They should definitely consider a non-playoff season a bit of a failure, even with the new head coach. I think they should definitely make the postseason this year. And like Drew said, the division is attainable, especially if they can get off to a fast start and kind of get some distance between them and Green Bay before the second half of the year starts. But yeah, I definitely think this team has some significant potential, and we'll see how things work out.
All right, folks, thanks so much for joining us during the NFL schedule release, our special live show. We will not have a studio show this Saturday. We will be back in studio next Saturday. Tomorrow's the 13th, 14th. No show the 14th. We'll be back on the 21st.
Yes.
With our regular show, and we're going to start our draft. We're gonna get into our draft picks and see how they fit into the position they were drafted in, and kind of do a depth chart preview and all that. We got a lot of good stuff coming.
I got a new contest I'm throwing out there too, Ted.
Oh, we do.
It's simple, and you can win $100. I'll just leave it at that.
And like I said, we got a new contest coming out, and I've got all the details on it, and we'll display it. We'll tell you about it next Saturday.
It's a great contest, and we got our other contests. We got a lot rolling in. We're back in the studio, Ted. So get ready. Yeah. We're back in the studio, back in black.
We'll be back next week. For Chris, for Ruby, for Drew, thank you everybody who joined us tonight. We appreciate it. Let us know what you think about our predictions. I hope I'm way off, and the Vikings are a lot better. I hope they're a lot closer to Crew and Chris and Drew's predictions. But thanks, Ruby, for doing everything. Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Drew. And we'll try to do better the next time. We'll see you later, everybody.